Hi, this is Brian Stevens from SPYPOINT, and I'm excited to have Josh Pretzer from Building Whitetails Series on the podcast today. Josh lives in Kansas on his family's farm, where his whole focus is on farming, conservation, and wildlife management. Welcome to the SPYPOINT podcast. I'm your host, Brian Stevens, and on this show, we get to talk about hunting, tactics, technology, and the inside scoop from industry pros. Follow along each month as we learn, laugh, and grow together with the passion we all have for the outdoors. This is the SPYPOINT podcast. Hey Josh, how you doing today?
How are you doing?
Good, my friend. How's the weather in Kansas? I know you probably feeding some cows this morning and being a little chilly.
Yeah, we're on a warming trend finally.
Oh, that's good.
We've had kind of a more mild winter, temperature wise, but we haven't had a dry day, and I don't remember the last time we had a dry day. So the weather of 2019 is really rolling into 2020 hard, and it's been a mess.
Makes it a little hard to farm, and then the other passion that you have that I'm really excited to talk about today is really your focus on wildlife management. And so
Right.
what I'd love to do is just give everybody a little bit of insight into, your background and your backstory as it relates to, the farming aspect of your business, but really transition that into hunting and wildlife management and how you got started and, how everything, began for you early on.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm fourth generation farmer. We've been here, and my family has in this area of Kansas for I'd say I think it's 120 years or so, 130 years, long time.
That's a long
But
time. Wow.
yeah, that's a long time. So yeah, there's farming has been in my family for over a little over a century now, and I just grew up on the farm. We run a cow calf operation as well. Farm a fairly sizable amount here in eastern Kansas. Um, I was always, it was always growing up. I was outside, shooting my BB gun, making my own little bow and arrows. And it just progressed and progressed and progressed. Some family friends of mine were kind enough to take me hunting when I think I was about 10, on a turkey hunt. And then they offered to let me sit with them in a double wide tree stand when I'd say about 11. And man, it was amazing. It was that I'd always, if it was rain, snow, wind, sun, didn't matter. I was outside playing outside. Didn't matter what it was doing. But usually, typically, I was shooting something.
Absolutely. I grew.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I grew up very similar. And my best friend Billy. We grew up down in Central Florida, and a lot of people don't think of Florida as cattle country, but we both grew up on big cattle ranches, beef cattle
Very much so.
operations, and same thing, man. We grew up, chasing hogs and hunting gators and catching gators and working cows, and it was just a great way to grow up and always doing something outside and out in the morning and back at night, and didn't have a care in the world. So it's really cool though to see your family have the tradition and the legacy and continue it. How Billy and I grew up, there was that legacy and a lot of history, but a lot of families in Florida have sold out and moved away, and so
Right.
that generation of cattle ranching, unfortunately, in the state of Florida is becoming very rare. So it's really cool to see you continue that legacy with your family.
Yeah, it's a deal, man. My passion is more farming than it is for the cattle side of things, but the ag market's down right now. The just commodities market is down, so diversification is really key.
Yep.
We have cut back on our cattle side of things, and increased our farming side. But yeah, I mean, it's, and so I guess it just once I got to see wildlife up close, I was hunting all the time. I got my first bow when I was 13. I shot my first buck second deer. My first deer when I was 12, my first with a rifle, and then my first buck ever with a bow when I was 13. I've shot one every year since.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it's just, it's been, I'm very blessed to be where I'm at in the position that I'm in. I try not to take that for granted. It's, a very unique scenario for certain. So yeah, and then as it just, the love for the outdoors just built and built and built. And then I started to see, a small, my first little food plot, it was just a bushel of wheat that dad didn't end up using, planting wheat one fall. And so I went out and raked up a little area about the size of two pickup trucks wide and broadcasted it out and, got a rain and it was a total failure. I mean, I planted it too much, way
Yep.
late. Put my first little cheap Walmart show camera on it and a pile of apples that I'd stuck in the freezer and froze. And man, it was the coolest thing.
Absolutely.
I had like 31 pictures in 3 weeks, and like two of them were of deer. And
Yep.
I was just absolutely enthralled. Um, and so I got to see, really, uh, the possibilities of management and how it would play into success.
Well, I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about it is that, I've sat on both sides, of this scenario where, you show up to a place and you hunt and there's, that piece of what we all do as hunters and love that aspect of it. But when you have the opportunity to, manage a piece of property, and so much of it is you learn by mistakes and trial and error. And, whether it's
Absolutely.
a small little piece or it's a bigger, piece of property, like you have now, there's a lot of things that you learn from that. And, there's a sense of satisfaction. And that's what I'd love to dig into today is really, talk about, not only the passion, you clearly have the passion and, many people on the phone, obviously love to hunt, but I'll take it to the level of managing a piece of property. But, when you think about, the habitat improvement, what are some of the big misconceptions you think people have about, habitat improvement and managing their own property?
Right. So, yeah, and I'm going to back up just a touch and kind of touch on what you just said prior. It's what you said. You really hit on something where we learn from mistakes, and that's kind of one of my main goals from building whitetails is to curtail the mistakes that other people might make, or will make. I mean, if you're out there long enough, you're going to make mistakes, and that's kind of one of my main goals to really cut that learning curve down for guys so that they can achieve that success of a top tier management program,
Yep.
in a shorter time frame. It's gonna end up being, raising their success rate, with deer, turkey, whatever it may be. My real passion is whitetails. But I hunt pretty much everything. So what you do for whitetails will help turkeys. What you do for turkeys will help upland birds, and
Very
it's
true.
just it's just really beautiful chain effect that there's just this whole benefit package from a complete management plan. But so yeah, it's misconceptions, man. There's a lot of crap out there, that everyone has an opinion and everyone also has an armpit and they all stink at one time.
That's right.
So it's you got to be very careful about what gathering information is not wrong. It's a very healthy thing. And I encourage guys to read, watch, listen. I'll be the first one to admit I don't know everything by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm very driven to learn and do the best that I can. And I encourage every land manager or person that's interested in pursuing their, outdoor career on the more management side of things to come at it with an open mind. um, Everyone has something to teach and everyone has something to learn. So I would, read, watch, listen, learn. Look at the guys that have been doing it successfully for a long time. Um, there are some key individuals in the outdoor industries that have withstood the test of time, that have shot, you know, good deer after good deer after good deer. And when I say good deer, I'm referring to mature deer. I mean, a 3-year-old whitetail in my neck of the woods can score 160 inches. I mean, so I'm more referring to the mature whitetail pursuit.
Let me just
You
right
know,
there on that, and I just if you that to me, I think is such a huge point because the industry I think gets caught up in the inches that we all shoot or we judge by, and I think
right.
there's so much pride in being able to manage a piece of property, and a 5-year-old deer on another piece of property might be 135, 140 inch deer, but
Yes.
whether that deer is 135 inches or 150 inches, in a different state, if they're a mature animal, they're hard to hunt, and you have to
Right.
grow that animal to help reach their potential. And so,
Yeah,
the fact
absolutely.
that you mentioned that, I think is very refreshing, because I think unfortunately, the industry has moved to a different, direction, and that's really not what it's all about. Listen, we all want to shoot the biggest deer we possibly can. No, that's there's no doubt in that. But at the same time, let's be realistic and celebrate, growing mature animals, no matter how much bone they have on their head.
Yeah, absolutely. It's guys will come to me with a picture of a deer, and they're like, "Hey, man, look at this." I'm from Kansas, man. We kill some of the biggest
Yep, you do.
whitetails in the world. We're just in the geographical region for it. And it's there's a lot of other states that kill monster deer: Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Oklahoma. There's big deer killed all over in the Midwest. But guys will come and say, man, look at my 180-inch deer, and that's cool, but how old was he? I mean, you want my respect? Tell me that you killed this deer when he was 5, 6, 7, 8. Dude, the older he gets, the more respect I'm going to have, because it becomes a harder and more difficult pursuit of that animal. If a guy comes and tells me I killed a 7.5-year-old buck and he scored 130 inches, man, my hat is completely off to you. You have made an achievement that is worth recognition, and my total congratulations to the individual that can do that. With that said, I mean, anyone who's getting the outdoor industry, or just the outdoors. I'm not going to say the outdoor industry. I'm not bashing anybody that shoots a 2, 3, 4-year-old whitetail. If they're early on in their hunting career, it's all stepping stones. I didn't get to where I'm at today by starting out shooting a 6.5-year-old giant. First year I killed a two and a
Absolutely.
half year old buck.
We've all been there and done that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how you
yeah,
learn. And but you know what it does though, and I think, listen, celebrate that too when you're getting started, because when you do finally get a chance to shoot a mature animal, that at whatever how big he is, you
yes,
appreciate that animal even more. When you have started, in a place of, shooting a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, and then you elevate,
right.
the goal to shoot something more mature, no matter how big he is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I'm talking from a strict management side of
Yep.
things. If you're in it for management and you're going at it from a manager's perspective and a manager goal, shoot for that higher age class. I mean, it brings a whole new deal. If a guy can pass a 160-inch 4-year-old, man, that is a remarkable feat that he has achieved. It takes a very dedicated hunter and a very dedicated individual to do that. But and there's always the risk of a neighbor might shoot him. He might die of during the winter. There's a million different things that can happen to that deer. But if you don't try, you'll never know, type deal.
Well, and I think too, and if you think about the words conservation and management, you're managing not just for one season, and you're managing it for multiple seasons. And I think, like you said, if you have the ability to pass on a 3 and a 4-year-old deer, what happens to them at 5 and 6 years old typically, and that's the other part of it I'd love to talk to you about, is the food and nutrition part of it. With some decent
Yeah.
genetics, they blow up. And,
Sure.
and it's amazing the difference between, those couple of years and what that deer can do. And so it just, again, if you're thinking about this from a management standpoint, and that's really your goal beyond just the hunting piece of it, is that strategy between not only passing up younger deer, which is part of that management strategy, but also, when we get to the nutrition and food plot part of it, that plays a significant role. And it's a lot of work to do that. But, those two things together can have such a, synergistic effect to get you to the point where you got a lot of bone on the head with a mature animal as well. Or at least they're going to
Yeah.
reach their full potential.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so I guess to touch on your question about what are the misconceptions, what I something I think is so overlooked in a habitat management plan is, and I tell guys this all the time. Uh, Everyone focuses on the buck. Man, the inches on a head, and I've got this many bucks in my property. You can't have a correct age structure and a healthy herd without a healthy age structure and family of does on your property. I don't Does are so, in my opinion, for the mass majority, under cared for and under thought about. It's I That's just the number one thing that I push guys
Hmm.
to, because if
Yeah.
you can start with a healthy doe, from an early age, preferably from a fawn. I mean, if once she's born, if she has the proper minerals, the proper nutrition, a full food program, have safety, water. Depends on where you're at. Water may not be an issue. Where I'm at, we've got running creeks, rivers. It's Water's not an issue. But man, if you live, maybe further south, Oklahoma, Texas, water is a big deal. 2018 was one of the driest years in record for our region in Kansas. We still had water, and I'm very thankful for that. But um, if guys go out and they're like, "Yeah, I saw five does, but I didn't see any bucks." I'm like, "Man, you saw five does,
Yeah.
five does.
Yeah.
If those does are carrying the fawns of your future and your hunting involvement in the outdoors." If guys will sit there and they'll just mass scroll through trail camera pictures with does, oh man, I got a buck type deal. But man, be encouraged by the doe population on your farm. If you have numbers that are out of balance, I encourage you to really look into balancing those numbers. um, and it's I think that's a very,
Yep.
very important thing, because that next monster buck starts as a fetus,
Yep.
inside that doe. And if we give the does the care and the nutrition, the full management program, they're going to raise the next up and comer booner, Boone and Crockett. Maybe not that big, maybe 200 incher. And that, in my opinion, is really where it starts. The next big deer starts at conception, starts at birth. He's got a long time to get to where he's in mature, but Lord willing, I'm hunting then too, and I get to see that.
No, absolutely, and I think that is something that's often overlooked, and so I'm glad you brought that point up. I want to remind everyone to visit spypoint.com/2020 to see all the products that are new this year and will be available from SPYPOINT at your local retailers later this spring. And so, so we talked about, an age structure and letting these, less mature animals, get a few years older, what that does, the doe aspect of it, and the health of, the doe herd. But if you transition now into the nutrition or food plot part of it and mineral part of it, what are your thoughts on that? And what are some of the things that you're doing, on your property to, really elevate that to its biggest potential?
Yeah, for sure. So I live in ag country. I live in grass country. We've got a real diverse, um, just area and habitat region around us. Um, we've got a lot of row crop, so the deer really have a lot of nutrition from, I'd say, 1st of May on. 1st of May until I would say, November. Crops are coming out. There's still wheat in the ground and they've got nutrition there. But the number one thing that's lacking in my region, and I think I can safely say in a lot of regions in the United States, is that late season food. Have whether it's standing beans, standing corn, a fall plot with your brassicas, your oats, everything else in it. Um, and then that really uh, ties in very well with bedding cover. Timber stand improvement. We just did a released yesterday the timber side of the Building Whitetails. The March video is going to be very, very centered towards native grasses, switchgrass in particularly. I'm an absolute nerd when it comes to native grasses.
Hmm.
I absolutely geek out on it. I've been doing a bunch of testing for quite a few years on various varieties. So that's kind of a little teaser for the March video. The mineral side of things, man, you got to have guys put mineral out when they put trail cameras out in July, hoping to get the deer on picture.
Yeah.
When they really have an idea, man, deer are hitting my mineral sites right now.
Yep.
We're at the end of February, man. It's going to be 58 degrees today. The deer are pounding my mineral site already. So if you go from February to, let's just say, the 1st of July, we're talking several months in there where the deer may be lacking in mineral or easily available mineral that you're going to totally miss out on. I mean, bucks are shedding antlers right now. And everyone's excited about it. I love shed hunting just as much as anybody, probably more so. I'm kind of obsessed about it. But and so the bucks they're growing, man.
Yep.
They're starting to
It's
develop that
year-round
next set
nutrition.
of antlers.
It's year-round
Yeah,
nutrition. And
year-round nutrition.
and there's certain parts of the year and times of the year when they need, different things,
Yes.
more energy, more carbohydrate, more protein, more mineral.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's just like you and I. I mean, we need, good nutrition year round if we want to be as healthy and reach our, our max potential. And so,
Yep.
I agree. I think that's a very valid point. And listen, I've been guilty of that in the past too. And I think, if there's a lesson learned to take away on that piece, is just, if you can't afford it, keep some level of mineral out for these deer year round.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I tell guys, base start with mineral and build your way up from there. And I'm going to touch on mineral just very shortly. There is a lot of crap out there. Just like information in the outdoors, there's a lot of crap products out there. And make sure that what you're getting has high levels of mineral, whether calcium and phosphorus, zinc, and all the micronutrients as well. Make sure that you're not looking at something that has an extremely high sodium content. When I say high, there's a lot of products out there that are over 90% sodium, and that is not what deer need, is a level that high. Guys will be like, man, I've got deer that are really pounding my mineral sites, and I had a buck that he was there for 3 minutes. He was there for 3 minutes because he had to work for 3 minutes long to get what he needed out of that mineral site. And that's another topic that I get really fired up about is don't tell me that predators don't know that. But man, bobcats, coyotes, if you're up north, could be wolves, out west could be bears. They know. I mean, their entire survival is based around
Absolutely.
patterns of deer and other prey species. If a doe's having to come to a mineral site 2 or 3 times a day and she's bringing her fawns in, and say she's there for 5 minutes, that's 15 minutes that she is in one spot with her fawn that could be that next up and comer buck. That she is patternable by predators.
Yep.
And guys, it's fun to pull a card and be like, man, I got 500, 5,000 pictures, however many you got. Compared to, depends on your deer density, obviously, but man, guys will just be conscious of that. It's okay to get 3 or 4 pictures of one buck for just a short time frame, because if you're using a high mineral just product at your mineral site, and they don't have to spend a massive amount of time there and effort and energy trying to consume the minerals that they need, then they're less patternable by predators. They'll have a more consistent diet. You know, it's just,
That's a
it's
great
herd
point, man.
health.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's simple logic, but you know what? It's one of those, if you don't think about it, you don't, put in perspective the
Yes.
ramifications of, just what you outlined of putting some of these deer at risk when, there are predators out there. And,
Yep.
so that's a great point. Let me ask you this. I mean, when it
Sure.
comes to, food plots,
Hmm.
sometimes I've seen, managers, have food plots everywhere. And I think it's a combination of providing enough nutrition based on your deer density, but at the
Yes.
same time having hunting food plots, if you will, because if you have too much and you spread it out, then it makes it difficult, from a hunting standpoint. So how do you manage both enough volume of food, but also strategic, placement of food plots so you can hunt over them during certain times of the year?
Yeah, so the main farm that we're doing the Building Whitetails series on this for 2019 is my home farm. I've got different farms scattered out that I farm, that I hunt, both. But the Building Whitetails is on 80 acres. It's not 500 acres where I've got this complete amazing mecca for whitetails. It's being built into that, but it's only 80 acres. I
But a
mean, a
lot of
deer
guys,
could
that's what the
easily,
and
yeah,
gals, and hunters, it might be a small piece of property. So I'm glad
yes.
you're mentioning the fact that it's not a massive piece of property right now.
Yeah, and it doesn't lay the best geographically wise. It's there. I wish if I could change it, that'd be great. I wish the creek didn't run the direction it did, because the deer follow it in a pattern I don't necessarily like, but that's what we've got. We have to work with what we're given. So really, how do we maximize that potential and that opportunity? And so, yeah, so on the food plot side of things, I've got my destination plots. I've got a couple. I've got 3 acres of standing beans. For my current deer density, that's the correct acreage. Now I'm starting to attract deer from further areas as my bedding areas improve and grow. The switchgrass, the timber side of things, I'm being able to hold more deer. So I anticipate having to grow my food sources. Um, with that said, I've got my destination plot of my beans. I've got a destination plot of a fall green plot mix as well. But so what I'm doing on my specific 80 acres is I've got bedding area, and then I've got a transition area over to the destination food. And the destination food is where they need to go and they need to eat and be comfortable there.
Hmm. Yep.
Not where they go in and they're smelling, human activity.
Yep.
And that is so key and fundamental. So I am planning a clover plot. It's going to be in one of the coming episodes here just shortly, where I'm halfway between the clover, or sorry, excuse me, the bedding and the destination food. And I've got bucks that are getting to the destination food right at dark, maybe 20 minutes after dark. I know where they're coming from as long as I've got a solid access route, entrance and exit to this. I'm going to call it a kill plot.
Yep.
That's going to be halfway between this interceptory plot. That's where I anticipate to catch these deer. So yeah, you want to have you want to have I'm just going to tell you specifically on my farm. I'm putting in a new clover plot to have early green up. I like to have the beans, which is an all summer high protein forage. I like the fall blend of greens that can provide nutrients well into the winter, as well as during the fall, the earlier fall
Hmm.
months, October, November, December, when crops are coming out and food sources are being taken out in massive amounts. I want to have a balanced structure there. And the thing that I'll hit on in the series is deer will tell you what they want to do. Just help them do it better than what they're doing right now. Really accentuate. If they like a certain spot on your farm to bed, improve that bedding area.
Yep.
If they prefer to walk through a low spot to get from point A to point B, give them some more cover in that low spot so that they can transition better. The more comfortable that the deer will feel on your farm will immediately impact your success rate, and it will go up. I can attest to that.
No, and that makes a ton of sense. And, I mean, you hit on a couple things that I think if for a minute you keep it simple, it's food, cover, and water. But I think the other X factor part of that is the human or people pressure. And
Yes.
that's not just over hunting, but it's also, the entrance and exit routes to get to that location, that if, you have to keep that in mind, especially on a smaller piece of property where you have, deer around you all the time, and you so easy to bump something, and you educate that mature animal, then the likelihood of him staying there or, moving to another location or just becoming nocturnal is high. And so I'm glad you brought that point up. And again, I've been guilty of that in the past, as you just kind of power through to get to that stand. You got the right wind, but getting to and out of there, I have bumped so many deer and, kicked myself in the butt of, not thinking through that part of it. You do all that other work and you don't think through that. And that can be such a deal breaker, or that, that one piece that allows you to seal the deal and finally get, a shot at that animal.
Yeah, I planted a food plot a few years back. Man, it was killer. I had deer showing up perfect. It was great. I thought my access route was good. Ended up hunting. The access route sucked. It was terrible. The deer did what I totally did not expect. The cameras only show you what's right in front of the camera. They
That's
don't,
right.
Deer are going to do what deer are going to
That's right.
do. And that was an absolute flop. So, I learned it didn't work, even though that is an ideal plot. And I know I can kill a buck there if I just stick it out. I'm going to scare every other deer for the entire rest of the season, accessing that stand or that box blind, however it may be. So really, you can construct a property around your access routes as well. If you got an area where deer already like to go and you have a good access route, man, that's your money spot.
Yep.
Key in on that, make that as good as you possibly can, and you're going to benefit from it. I can absolutely guarantee it. Guys just want to throw a stand up and a plot, but man, as I said in the timber video, don't do something without a reason. Don't just be aimlessly cutting something, planting something, spraying something out, whatever it may be. Don't just do it to do it. If you really want to, I mean, if you want
Have a
to, go
purpose.
ahead. That's fine. That's your farm, that's your deal. But if you really want to attain that next level, pursuit and step, have a key reason and a very good backed up reason with why you're doing it in plan, so that you can really key in on those key moments. And I tell guys, man, it to let trail cameras tell you when to hunt. And I don't talk a whole lot about cameras necessarily, but trail cameras are such a valuable tool. They will tell you when to hunt. If a buck's coming in 2 hours after dark every night, don't go hunt where that camera's at, unless unless rut comes in and you've got some hot does that might come in a very close bedding area or proximity. If it's middle of October or something, man, chances are he is not going to come in.
Yep.
So all you're going to do is put your scent out there. You may educate deer that otherwise might scare that mature buck off. So just make sure you got a reason and a really good game plan. Guys, I'm not a big sports guy, but guys go into sports, teams do, and they've always got a plan. They've got plays that they make. It's the same thing for the whitetail woods. It's just, you got to be very, very, just, focused on the pluses and the minuses, and have a really solid plan from start to finish.
No, 100% agree. And let the intel help you make some of these decisions. And that intel could be from a game camera. And listen, the nice thing about some of the new cellular cameras is the fact that you don't have to go in and pull the card and, create scent and potentially, educate animals that are in that area. And sometimes you can do it with a traditional game camera, slip in and slip out. But that's why I do love, using cellular technology, I don't have to go in there and it just pops up on my phone. But the other part of it is wind and weather conditions, and if the wind is not right, and I learned a long time ago, If the wind's not right, don't hunt, even though you know that animal's there.
Yep.
Just hunt when the conditions are good, or when you have the intel, knowing that he's now showing up in daylight hours. And so
Correct. And
that's all great feedback.
I'm going to take that to the next step. And from a different angle, you're totally spot on. I mean, especially on a small property, man, you got to be very careful about what you do, but do the same thing when you're checking game cameras. If you got a wind that's blowing from your game camera straight to the bedding area, don't walk in and check your trail camera when the wind direction is blowing right to the bedding area.
Come on, man. I
You know,
want to see what's on that card. I got to.
right, right. It's like, man, I'm so excited, but guys, you're shooting yourself right in the
Yeah,
foot. You gotta,
it's
what
true.
you maybe 2 days you get a wind switch. Wait 2 days. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's all very, very good points. So let me transition to your series, and I have to
Yeah.
tell you, I got a chance to watch, the first series and video that you did, and it was really, really solid. And here's the thing that I like is that you're doing this for the love of it. You don't have an agenda. You're not trying to, sell property, and you're not, trying to do this based on other people's input. You're doing this based on what you love to do, trial and error, learning from mistakes, and really many years of experience. And so give everybody a little bit of sense of what they can expect from the Building Whitetails series this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell guys, I'm not biased towards companies. I'm biased towards my deer herd. That's my passion is my deer herd. It is the pursuit of mature whitetail deer and providing the key, a complete management plan for the whitetails on my farm, and other farms as well. But yeah, uh, you know, um, I would say it's that's a really good question. It's there's a lot of answers to that, but guys, I'm trying to think here. It's Gosh, that's a broad question,
Let
Ryan.
me ask you this: like,
Yeah,
what's the one thing that you're most excited about that when you put this series together that
yeah,
people will take away from it? And I think you may have already answered your question around which you're biased about your deer herd, and I think
yeah.
that says everything about really your series and what you're trying to accomplish. And it's not just another hunting show, but it's there for a purpose, and people are going to learn from it. And
Yeah.
that I think when you can do that, you're doing something good.
Yeah, I wanna help guys. I'm not some special human being that's got this crazy skill set or whatever. I've learned a lot over the years from a lot of trial and error, and I've had a lot of failures. I'll be the first one to tell you that. So kind of touching back on what I said first, I really hope that I can help guys and gals, young, old, whether you're first starting out hunting, you've been hunting for 40 years. I hope I can give insight to people that from all areas of the hunting industry, from start to finish. Like I said, I don't know everything, and I'll admit that first. But what I do know, I really want people to learn. I'm very passionate about it. It's I have seen the direct results of complete management plan, and just it's a beautiful, amazing thing that just deer are doing what deer are meant to do. And it's I had a key in that. We've only got a set amount of time on earth, and we really 1 year delayed is 1 year of results taken off. That's
Yep.
what I tell guys. And I really hope to connect with people on a very personal level, that I hope that what I'm doing can teach other people on their farms. They can take something away and implement it. So I don't have a magic new formula, or going to tell you that one this and two that's going to change your life. It's trial and error. Deer are different in different areas. They might pound one food source over another food source. And so I really, really hope to connect with people. And I'm just taking people along on
That's
on
it.
what I do.
And it's a beautiful journey. And the fact that you live there, so you live and breathe this every day. It's not like you
Yeah.
go to your property, on the weekend. And a lot of us do that, and that's okay.
Right.
But the fact
Yeah.
that you're there every single day, seeing what's happening, it gives you a unique perspective to visualize and see the progress that you're making and share that with people. And I think that real time, intimate part of what you do is, I think, the thing that people are going to be most interested in and appreciate, with your series. So listen, brother, it has been a true honor to speak with you today about this. You've shared a few things, that I need to think differently about. And that's what this is all about, is we're all learning and sharing. So I wish you the best of luck, as you get ready for the spring and as we get into the summer and the fall months. And I know we'll be talking more, but your series is, I think, spot on, man. And I know people are going to love it. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Brian. I appreciate what you're doing. And, keep up the good work, keep up the good fight. Hopefully we can help people out along the way. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, my friend. You be good.
Hey, take care, man.
Hey, everyone, go check out all the cameras and new products for 2020 at SPYPOINT.com and keep up with the latest insights from SPYPOINT on Instagram and Facebook.